All right, everyone, welcome to this episode of Shirley Talk. And today we're going to talk about how cancer affects the family, the dynamic of the family, and, as people are fighting cancer or if one passes from cancer. So, first of all, my name is Mike Mulrooney.
I'm Kelly Duckworth.
And neither one of us are doctors.
Nope.
Nothing in the medical field. And we cover that every episode just to let you know that this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and this is our opinions or things that we have learned from the patients that we work with on a daily basis. Kelly, what is it we do at Shirley's Way?
Shirley's Way, we are a nonprofit, and we help cancer patients with their everyday expenses such as rent, mortgage, utilities, food, prescription medications, things that they may not be able to afford while they're battling cancer.
Right, and we've given quite a bit of money away since we started. We started in 2013 and started doing a few events, and we didn't really start giving away till 2014, and we've given away over $1 million in those formats. So it's been an interesting journey to say the least. But typically in every family, and you and I have discussed this. Typically in every family, there's that one nucleus of the family. In my case, it was our mom. And when she got cancer and passed, we still get together some, but not as much as we used to. Have you noticed the same thing since your mom passed?
Well, we kind of, me and my close...
You got a bunch of nosy aunts and uncles. So.
I do. I hope they hear that one too. No, we kind of made a pact. Really, when my grandma died, my grandma was the matriarch. She didn't have cancer, but just old age. But we'd always go to dinner with her once a week and get her out of the house and things like that. And when she passed, we kind of made a pact and we said, all right, we're going to go to dinner every week. We're going to stay together, this and that, aside from your normal holidays and things, which my mom loved. And then when my mom passed, same thing. We were like, we're going to go every week. This is what she would want us to do. So. And
y'all been doing that for a couple of years now. Actually, many more years than that.
My grandma died in 2014, yeah. So, well, we've been doing it since my grandpa died, I guess, in 2011. So, yeah, 10 years.
That's incredible.
Once a week.
Yeah, we talked about doing that, and you usually, again, have that one, and you're kind of the leader in the family. Believe it or not, you probably don't realize it, but you seem to take care of everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you're behind making sure that everybody participates.
Yeah.
And then that's what it takes. It takes somebody like that. But, my sisters, it's just different. We all had younger kids at the time when Mom passed, and it's just, since she's not there anymore, she was the one that made sure that we all came around. And sad to say, it just hasn't happened for us.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. But anyway, when somebody has cancer, we talked about people need to take on new roles. And, everybody's got a role in their family. In the traditional family, the wife, and this is not a traditional world, so don't shoot us hate mail, but in a traditional family, the wife does certain things and the husband does certain things. But when somebody's sick, somebody's got to step up and do things. And, my dad used to cook a lot, and he still does, obviously, since Mom's not around. And he liked to cook, and he always has done things like that. And, my mom made sure that we all knew how to take care of ourselves, which is great. But, when somebody's sick, we were obviously moved out of the house, but people have to take on new roles. Step up, clean the dishes, put them in the dishwasher, put them up, help with the clothes. Have you noticed any of that at all?
My biggest thing really was the bills. My mom was kind of the financial person, believe it or not. My dad, I don't know if you all have been listening, but I have older siblings, and my parents were older. So my dad's been retired literally since I was born. So he was kind of Mr. Mom, stayed home with us, cooked and cleaned, and my mom worked, and she took care of the bills and things like that. And I remember going off to college, and she had just been diagnosed with cancer, and I honestly didn't understand all the bills. I paid my gas, I paid for things that I wanted to do, but aside from like a mortgage and things like that, I had no idea. And I remember her calling one day, and she needed help paying the phone bill. And I will never forget, I was doing it all from EKU. Got on my laptop and pulled up their, I was on the phone plan too. It was like a $700 past due balance. Because she couldn't afford to make the payments. She was paying late fees. That were almost as much as the bill.
Wow.
It was insane. And she was just like, I can't catch up. I can't do this. So then that was probably, I guess, sophomore year of college. I was like, well, here, I'll do it. Just give me access to your all's bank account, and I will just take care of it from then. And I finally got them out from that rut. And then kind of from then on out, I kind of took control of the bills. But I don't know what we would have done if I hadn't have learned that. Because my dad, he has no idea anything about technology. He didn't pay the bills. He wouldn't have known passwords. And, you know, for me, online banking and online, you know, bills and things are easy. But he'd probably still be trying to write a check. And
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And you probably don't know how to write a check either, do you?
It would be hard. It would be really hard.
Yeah, you got to sign the check. So, it's my mom took care of all the bills. And when she passed, my older sister stepped up and set up auto payments on certain things, utility bills, and I don't know if they have a mortgage or not, but they set up all the your essential stuff you have to have and set them up on auto payments because she took care of it all. She wrote all the checks. I don't know that they paid bills online when my mom was alive. She wrote a lot of checks, but she had all that info. My dad didn't have a clue as to what things cost and how to pay them.
So you all didn't do that until after she passed?
Right.
Yeah, that was probably hard.
It was. And in some places you have to show death certificates, but it was a real nightmare to get all that set up to where my sister could help make the bills because they just wouldn't do it. And I get that. It's a security thing, and there's so many hackers in the world today. You just never know who's telling the truth. But, you really need to sit down with people. I think in our discussions, when your mom found out that there was nothing else they could do, she looked at your dad and said, we got some things to talk about, right?
When she got diagnosed.
Yeah.
She said that, yeah.
Because she knew pancreatic cancer wasn't good. She said there's some things we had to talk about. So I'm assuming they probably sat down and tried to go over that stuff. But your dad's a lot like mine. He probably didn't get it.
No, he still doesn't. I mean, I love my dad to death, but he just, there's some things. I remember the death certificates and going to the bank and trying to, close out these accounts and doing that. And he probably would have figured it out eventually. He would have had to, had a lot of help from people. But, I mean, my neighbors, friends, and family, they're like, we don't know what your dad would have done without you.
No, I agree.
And my siblings, my older siblings, that wasn't their mom. We have the same dad, but not the same mom. And they obviously would have helped me as much as they could have, but they didn't know either. None of that stuff was any of their business. So, yeah, it was a lot.
Well, I just can't imagine the parents that don't have someone like you or my older sister to step in and do that. But you need to have those conversations. If you're a spouse, I handle all the finances in my family, and my wife knows about what, but the problem is I've got all the passwords.
Right.
They don't even know the password to the Apple account on our phones. So they'll send me a message. What's our password? What's our password? But you have to know those things. Put them in a central location where both people know. And we have them safe, but I keep the link to the location and the ID and password. So, it's easy for them to just click on the link because I don't click on links on the internet these days. It's a hacker's paradise out there in the web.
Yeah.
So don't ever click on a link that comes to an email unless you're 100% sure it came from that company.
Learn the hard way.
Life lesson learned there, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's terrible.
But the hackers are crazy. But, you have to be part of that conversation way before any of this thing happens.
And they're awkward and they're uncomfortable. People, they don't like having them.
It's tough.
It is. You don't want to talk about the end, but yeah, knowing all that stuff ahead of time, it made my life so much easier.
Yeah, I know there's people that plan their own funerals, and, obviously they're go-getters. I don't know that I could do that, but you have to take into consideration the bills and things like that that most people probably never even think of until it's too late.
I think my biggest thing now, if I learned anything from my mom's death, and obviously it's people have their own lives and they're going to do what they want to do, but having a will, my mom didn't have a will.
Yeah.
And I'm still having issues to this day, and it's been, 2.5 years now. Just little things that for some reason there's red tape somewhere.
Yeah.
And if they don't have this in writing from her, and I'm like, I can't do anything about it,
Even a death certificate doesn't fix that?
No.
Wow.
It's a lot, yeah. But I remember when she died, and it was less than 2 months later, my dad had a heart attack. My dad's 78.
Yeah.
But he's healthy. He is. But he had a heart attack. Couldn't believe it. But it was all the stress and things like that, and he didn't have a will. And I remember when he was laying in the hospital bed, he signed a will on the back of a napkin. He just said, everything goes to you. Here's my name. Obviously, that wasn't really legal, but to him, it made him feel better, and we ended up getting one legally done. But, because still, my mom, in the state of Kentucky, it's different. So wherever you live, obviously. But, yeah, she thought, in her mind, everything would be left to my dad when she died. But legally, 50% goes to my dad, and the other 50% was split between me and my brother.
Yeah, had a friend that passed, and he never got anything changed, and he had been married since, and everything that he had went to his ex-wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the state of Kentucky.
She was happy.
Yeah, the insurance, everything, and it's crazy because, you know, that's just the way it is. If it's in writing, that's. But when you did the will, did you have to file it someplace to make it official, or?
Yeah.
We have wills, but I don't know that we filed them anywhere.
Yeah, well, we had, you know, an attorney, and they signed off on it, and whatever that legal stuff is. I'm not a lawyer either.
Yeah.
Not a doctor or a lawyer.
Look it up if you want to do it the right way. And don't take our advice on that stuff. But yeah, it's a process, and it really is. And if you don't have it ironed out, even as, you know, off the family dynamic a little bit, but even things like social media pages. We had people posting stuff under my mom's account after she was dead, and horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. And we couldn't get Zuckerberg at Facebook to kill the account. We had to prove, you know, death and everything.
Same
like
with
that.
me.
Nasty, nasty things were being posted under her account, and they wouldn't do anything about it.
That was recent for me. I mean, that was going on, and I don't know how it happened. Phone numbers, too.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Because when my mom died, you know, I don't know if you did, but we kept her phone number for a little bit. You know, you could call it, and you could listen to the voicemail and do that, whatever step of grieving you're in. But then eventually there comes a time it's not realistic to be paying for that phone line.
Yeah.
So I remember we canceled it. Well, someone else got her phone number, obviously, and somehow got logged into her social media accounts, and they were posting crazy stuff. And everybody, you know, thought that my mom had rose from the dead and was making Facebook posts, but yeah.
That was horrible.
It was terrible.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's been recent.
But I didn't know how they got the account.
We were floored, and I remember trying to go through.
Cruel people.
I don't know, but I remember trying to go through Facebook and get her, like, you know, memorial page set up to where they would stop.
It's a shame that the crook like that is protected. It's a shame you can't drive over to that person's house that's doing that and track that phone number down and confront them, because that's just absolutely horrible.
It was terrible.
Can do something like that. Well, the one other thing too, and I'm sure you were probably this person, but you have a pretty big family. But you know, when somebody's sick, there needs to be a point person for medical updates, because that can be a problem. Some families, you know, they don't see eye to eye on things. A friend of mine, he's dealing with some stuff that his niece signed for his mom. It's absolutely horrible that somebody can do that, but there needs to be a front person for that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the articles on cancer.net talks about how, you know, it can be overwhelming, especially I have a big family and a lot of friends, and, you know, when my mom would go to the hospital or something, you know, she'd have some type of side effect and something would go wrong. I mean, you'd have 25 people calling and texting you.
Different opinions.
Yeah, or asking, what's going on, what's going on with this, and you'd have to, you know, fill them in on everything. But, yeah, with my dad, obviously he had the final say and everything, but that day my mom died, he sat back and he said, you know, you make the decisions, you do all that, which I ran them by him as well. But yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, it was.
You know, everybody's got an opinion, but they're not willing to be there and handle the stress and the grief that comes along with some of these decisions. And you know, I had a friend that they had a couple siblings, and one of them was there all the time when the parent was basically dying, and the other one would never show up. The other person just couldn't handle the grief that came along with the mom dying. And then after the death, the person is still around, and they do great now, but the one that was there the whole time has been completely fell off the deep edge with drugs and trouble and all kinds of stuff. So it's amazing how the grief affects certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it because I'm open and I love my brother dearly, and he'll admit to everything. But he wasn't there when my mom died, and I'm kind of glad. Honestly, I'm grateful because I didn't want him to see, you know, he's my older brother, and I didn't want him to see her like that. So I was the one that made all those, you know, the decisions and things. But he feels guilty. He hates himself for it, you know, and he beats himself up all the time that he wasn't there, but then he's also thankful that I was, and not him. So,
so did he come and visit her at all before she passed?
Nope.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around that.
No, and I mean, you know, he was, well, long story short, he was in jail.
Yeah.
When she passed, but they got to have a phone call. And my mom's biggest thing was, you know, making sure he was always warm and he was fed, the motherly thing, you know. And I remember my mom died at like close to midnight, and it was probably 5 or 6 that day when she kind of stopped talking. But she had talked to him one last time, and she asked him, "Are you warm? Have you ate?" You know, all these things. And she knew he was safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't see her like that. And then he didn't get to come to the funeral, obviously. But like I said, I'm kind of glad he doesn't have that picture. You know, I was the one that had to turn the machines off, and I don't know if he could have handled it, honestly.
Yeah, I some people, and it's very difficult. I did most of the funeral planning for my mom because, you know, they couldn't do it. And I remember sitting there trying to pick caskets. And that's probably another episode we ought to have, is the funeral planning, and get a funeral person in here, because you will be taken to the bank over your grief if you don't know what you're doing and have somebody guiding you in the right direction.
My blood pressure will probably go through the roof on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's another. Let's add that episode.
The car salesman of death is what I mean.
That's exactly right. They will take you to the bank if you don't know, all because you're grieving and you make bad decisions. But yeah, I remember sitting there planning a funeral, and there's a lot of things in a funeral that you don't think. And I don't understand funerals. I think they ought to have an open bar and just let people come in and drink and have a good time. And
Mike wants open bar.
That's exactly right. I mean, I don't want people standing around crying and sad because I'm gone. And most people might not care that I'm gone, you know. But I just think that it shouldn't be. It should be some ethnicities do celebrations of death, and that's what it should be. Not standing around crying all the time. So we might open up a Shirley's Way funeral home one day and have a bar and.
Oh my gosh.
And just, really, you know, think about it.
Have concerts outside.
Yeah, and have a good time, celebration of life. But it is a very difficult thing sitting there by yourself, trying to pick out caskets and colors and
flowers and music. I mean, so many things, you don't think about.
Yeah, what kind of concrete you want in the vault that you put in the casket. You know, just crazy stuff that you never think about that they can upcharge you for. So, but doing that by yourself is very difficult. What to put in the obituary, and it's after so many words, it's going to be an extra charge. And so, yeah, making those decisions are very difficult. So, you know, if I had any advice at all, after that, my dad actually went in and prepaid and planned his own funeral.
Yeah, which is, I mean, now I think is great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You probably didn't think that few years ago, but at this point it really makes more sense.
I remember my godfather that died of pancreatic cancer right before my mom. He had, you know, all that done. He was getting cremated. It was paid for. They said as soon as he dies, you call the coroner, you know, this happens. I mean, it was done. I didn't have to make one phone call. And at first I was like, this is kind of creepy and morbid, you know, but it was so much easier on us.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have to do anything. You
know, it's funny you say call the coroner. When my mom died, we knew she was going to die, but we never really thought about what do you do when it happens. You know, she passed and she's lying there and we're sitting there. I didn't know what to do. And again, the angels of this world, the hospice people, I called them and like, we don't know what to do. She's passed, and call the coroner, which, you know, they got to come in and propose or announce the death time and all that stuff. And then the funeral home showed up and took her. But yeah, that's something that I just hadn't really thought about. What do you do after they pass? Do you pick them up and take them to the funeral home by yourself? I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's a very stressful point for the siblings and the family.
I think my mom got a little ride around Dixie.
Did she?
Yeah, because we were deciding on what funeral home to go to, so she was just, you know.
So you didn't have that worked out beforehand?
Well, we did, but like I said, the car salesman of death, wasn't going to happen with one of them.
We're going to do that episode. I like that a lot. So.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much today. Kelly, how can people help Shirley's Way if they would like to help us out to continue our mission?
We would love to have you as a monthly donor. 2021, we are pushing for 1,000 $10 monthly donors. So that's $10,000 a month. And that would help out a lot of people in our community that need it. And you can go to shirleysway.org and learn more on our website. We have 3 Split the Pot raffles a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, queenofheartslive.org, jokerswildlive.org, and wheelofcashlive.org. $2 tickets. They're all split the pots. They're a lot of fun. And those are also going back to help cancer patients as well.
Yeah, get out there, win you some money. Go to our YouTube channel. You can watch all of our drawings live, and we got patient interviews. And just watch what we do. And thanks for listening today. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.